Hey everyone, Nathan here from PH Studios, and welcome to another XNA tutorial covering networking. And in this tutorial, we're actually going to start creating our game. And as I mentioned in the last video, we're just going to build the game to where it's able to communicate. And we'll just slowly build on it video by video until we have a complete game ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and create a new project. And let's create a XNA Game Studio 4.0, Windows Game 4.0, and I'm going to create it in my samples repository. And I'm going to call it Simple Networking Game. Create a directory for the solution, and I'm going to make sure it's in my trunk folder. Okay. I'm just doing this so I can submit it to my subversion control. Alright, so we're not going to bother adding any references, any content, any sprites or anything. Just this video is just going to cover the communication. So what we want to do is we want to go to the very top and add a using system.net.sockets and using system.net. I don't think that's included yet. Nope. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to have a TCP client, and because this game is basically going to be a client to the TCP client server. If I can spell client. So we need a TCP client, and I'll just call it client. So in the initialize method, let's set client is equal to new TCP client, and we can set it to a host name and port. Or we can just do family or local EP. Now I'm just going to call the basic constructor because that's what the server does. Now what I need to set is client.connect, and then now I can get the IP address, host name, and port. So I'll just do this a long way. So how do I get to the IP and port? Well, there's several ways you can do this. You can hard code it, or you can use the settings file. For this video, I'm just going to hard code it, string IP, and in the next few videos we will change it to use the settings file. IP is equal to 127.0.0.1. Remember, that's the IP address for the same computer. The server is going to be running on the same computer. It's the exact same thing as the word localhost. It's just saying that the server is located on the same computer as the game is. And the port, remember, the server has a default port of 1490, and I do not think that's a string. Okay, so we call connect with the IP and the port. Alright, so now we connect, but just like the server, we want to say client.noDelay is equal to true. Alright, so what we did here is just like the server. Remember, the server is just a 90% of it's all built into the TCP client and TCP server, which is from the system.net.sockets. So we just needed to create a TCP client because the game is a client, and we just like the server, we need to connect to it using the IP and port. Now we want to send the event, so let me go to the relay server and get the delegates. Just copy and paste these delegates and do the same thing in here. Right click your project, go to add class, and let's call the class delegates, delete the class, and then paste the delegates. TCP client and TCP client using system.net.sockets using system.net. Okay. So now that we have the delegates, let's go ahead and go to our server again, and I'll demonstrate the client. The client needs to set a data received event. And that data received event is from the stream received method. So what calls stream received? It is the start listening. So we need to just duplicate the same thing. And again, we'll modify the game to have the settings file instead of hard coding it. So we have int buffer size is equal to 2048. So just like we did with the server, we need to call client.getStream, and we need that read buffer. So again, we need to create the byte array read buffer. We don't need a private. It's private by default. And now we need the read buffer size, which is this. Alright, but now we need to set the read buffer is equal to new byte array with the size. Alright, so this is why I'm copying and pasting from the server, is because it's basically the same setup. Stream received, we want to get that stream received method. And let's put that after the update. Oops. Stream received, okay. So now that will begin reading, and we'll wait until we receive data, and just like the server, it'll begin reading. You know, we connect to the IP address and then we start listening. Alright, we begin reading, and when data is received, it goes into this code here. And then after the end of it, it begins reading again. So let's go ahead and do that same thing we did here. Just copy this line of code and paste it in the stream received method. Okay, so again, this is just going to be a very simple, quick tutorial. Stream received. If we received a message, I need to add that in just 1 second. Alright, if we receive a message, we want to display to the user that a message was received. Just for this video, next video we'll go and build on that a little bit more. So what I tried to do was just create a message box, and I forgot that I need to add the reference to system.net what was it? It's WinForms, system.net.forms. No, not .net. System.windows.forms. Okay. It's been a while since I added that reference, so I apologize for that. Once you add the reference, you should be able to have message box, and then you need to add the using statement. Message box.show, and then we have the text. Message received. Thank you for the message server. Alright, so whenever it receives a message, it will just display this message box. So now we run the game. Oops. Just system.XNA. Okay. Now when you start adding a bunch of references, like I added the using system.windows.forms, things can be, it doesn't know which one to choose. So if you ever encounter an issue or a head like that, you need to specify the complete path to that class, structure, enumerated type, all that stuff. No connection could be made because I don't have the server up. Alright, so let's start the server. Alright, so now stop this and start it up again. Alright, so now it looks like it's at the server and we have a connected client. Okay, so let's go and start the telnet. Telnet 127.0.0.1 1490 connect. There we go. So, message received, thank you for the message, server. So, we got it able to communicate. So that was this goal for this video. And I just used telnet for the other client because I didn't feel like running another client. So now anytime we say like H, message received, thank you for the message, server. E, message received, thank you for the message. So we are able to communicate with the server. Now when we disconnect, thank you for the message, and now we're ready to go. We disconnect the server, thank you for the message, and now that's done because it's the server closed. Alright, so that was it for this video. Next video we'll actually, instead of using the message box, we will do something a little bit more interesting. We will build on that. We'll have a game object that we can move around. And I think the next video I was gonna say that we can add the other player when the player connects. But we'll see about that next time. It'll probably be in a tutorial tomorrow for the next tutorial. Because obviously I can't talk tonight and it's messing up my tutorials. So I hope to see you tomorrow.